So, I've been playing a lot of Breach recently. Whenever I have an order that isn't tied to a game mode, I go straight to Breach. I play it a little more than I play Dominion nowadays, just because there's more to do than boost points to speed the matchup, and because I get to play for a good amount of time after my 10-minute wait for matchmaking. I know that Dominion gives more XP if you're rushing the matches, especially if you end up on the defending side in Breach. There's something about Breach that I really enjoy, as long as I don't overdo it. Breach is a great game mode. We found out from UB a couple weeks ago on the Warriors Den that Breach is just as popular as Dominion in terms of playtime, which is great for players as there's two game modes that you can play if you want to play fours. I think that Dominion is a much better solo queue game mode though, as one player can carry a team to victory much easier than they can in Breach, since Breach requires a little bit of teamwork to win quickly. Sometimes though you end up with teammates who really shouldn't be playing an objective mode at all, since all they want to do is fight, which really makes me wish elimination and skirmish were more popular so that those who want to fight could just play those modes. Anyways, in this video I'll really be talking a lot about Breach, since I haven't really talked about it for too long, and I haven't talked about it at all since the new changes went into play. I'll also be talking about a few other of the Fours game modes as well. Now, as I said, I think Breach is really fun, but it can also be really frustrating depending on your team. I think Breach either has some of the best matches you'll have in For Honor or some of the worst. If you end up with a team who's just deathballing mindlessly on the healing point, or wasting lives at the ballista, or running headfirst into a 1v3, or if you get a bot who just walks everywhere to die, you're not going to have a good time. Bots are near worthless in Breach, especially if you're an attacker, as they just give up tickets. It's times like those where I wish I could leave without a penalty, or when I just turn the game off for the day. It's easily one of the most frustrating things about the mode. On the other hand, sometimes you really have close matches that come down to the wire, and those are tons of fun. If both teams are relatively even or have good players, the game will be pretty fun. I mean, I get that some people don't care for the objective, and For Honor has never really had a true objective game mode before Breach. Sure, Dominion and Tribute, but Tribute died off pretty fast, and in regular old matchmaking Dominion, at least not playing the objective helps somewhat, as you're distracting the opponent and potentially taking them out of the game for a bit. So players who treat the objective as an afterthought in Dominion aren't too terrible, but in Breach it can really hurt your team's chance at winning. And with the matches being so long, some getting near half an hour, getting steamrolled because of some bots or selfish teammates is pretty frustrating. Now, I think we all know that Breach isn't this perfectly balanced game mode, but it's also not wildly favoring any one side. It's weird. I think that for less experienced players who either don't care about the game that much or aren't that good at the game, that the defending team has a slight advantage because they have no lives. But for players with tons of experience who can defend themselves and understand the mode, I think that the attackers have a slight advantage. We found out that according to the great data, that defenders were winning more often than attackers. So they buffed the archers and are looking for more ways to even it out. I personally think that the attackers do have the advantage, as long as your team knows what they're doing. The archers aren't the most important thing in the world, but they're pretty easy to capture and are permanent, whereas in the beta or the test, I'm pretty sure the defending team could recapture. The attackers have plenty of lives if they stick together and actually revive each other, and destroying the gate gives you tons of lives. Pushing the ram is really easy and moves the ram pretty fast, and honestly is the most important objective. I see so many people ignoring the ram to fight or even to go kill the guardian. There should never be a time in a match where the ram isn't occupied by at least one person, in my eyes. Don't get me wrong, archers are important, but that ram really trucks along when it's being escorted. Anyways, these advantages are pretty minor, but as with just about everything in For Honor, it'll be almost impossible to make this mode completely even for both sides. I do think it's fine where it is now though. I'm not really sure if they'll make any more changes to the mode after upping the range on the archers and allowing the archers to target the commander. I think Breach and Tribute are the only game modes in For Honor that are partially dictated by your teammates. So if you're still playing this game and you play a lot of fours, the only thing I can ask you guys is to try and take the objective into consideration while you're playing. As I said, in Dominion, it can sort of be forgiven if you only like to play for kills. I mean, you're distracting someone at least. But in Breach, try focusing on something. If you like to fight, try playing the ramparts, either defending or capturing archers in the cauldron point. If you insist on playing a hero like Orochi or Peacekeeper, try focusing on the flag, keep your eye on the timer, and go for it after the first 3 minutes. After the ram breaks the first gate, the second flag will spawn in another 3 minutes. Just don't run into a group of 4 people unless you're unbelievably confident in your ability to drag on that fight or survive the gank. I do get the team deathmatch mentality in Dominion though, because you can't really play the other game modes as nobody plays them. Yesterday I was trying to get into an elimination or skirmish match and waited 12 minutes just to get put into a lobby with 1 other player and 6 bots, which I then proceeded to back out of because I wasn't going to play that. I would love for Ubi to just increase the rewards on modes like that for a week, separate them again and raise the XP and steal by like 30%, or reward players that have more takedowns, and there you go. I'm positive the modes will have more players again. I get why they combined the modes into one playlist in the first place, because they wanted the matchmaking to be faster and have more players queue up for the same thing, but it turns out not a lot of people like this, so you end up with no one playing the mode. Adding performance-based rewards to any mode would be a good thing. The only thing you get right now for playing the objective is renown. I think more people would try to capture points and all that if, say, you got an extra 25 XP per capture. Nothing too crazy, but if you take time and get 5 or 6 caps in a match, you'll end up with 125 or 150 XP, which would really make the rep grind a little less tedious and again, give players a reason to play after they finish their orders. Now, as much as I like playing Breach, there are a few minor things I think could be changed, or at least tested to make the game mode more enjoyable. The first thing has nothing to do with the game mode itself, but actually its ending, and is really minor, but I think whoever gets the last hit on the commander should be able to finish their execution and not be interrupted. I've thought this since day one. I just feel like the winning team should have that satisfaction. It will literally change nothing except for making the ending feel a little better. I'd also look at how many tickets the attacking team gets after they break through the first gate. I'm fine with the starting lives, but 16 tickets is a ton, especially if you have a 4-man stack. I think that 12 tickets for getting through phase 1 is plenty. If the attacking team is stomping the defending team, they still get an extra 12 lives on top of the 20 or so they have, and the victory wouldn't feel so much like a snowball, whereas if the attacking team just barely squeaks through the first phase, they have enough tickets to get it together and start playing as a team, as they don't have too many lives left to give up. The 4 lives you get after the second phase is fine. I don't think the attacking team should get rewarded too much for getting through both ram phases. There is one thing I'd love to see Ubi try out in a test server or something, and that's to have some way to reinforce archer points rather than just have the attackers capture them once. And what I mean by that is, after the attacker captures an archer point, they should basically have to capture it again or reinforce it so that the defenders can't recapture it. I think that would be a happy middle ground for both attackers and defenders. If that's doing too much or just wouldn't work and throw the balance off whack, maybe try having it so that the archers have a longer respawn time, so that having a defender kill the archers will be more impactful, since they can't recapture the zone. I think the Rams' health is fine, I think the gate health is fine, I think the ballistas are fine, I think almost everything about Breach is fine, and that the advantage goes just slightly to the attackers. I'm hoping in the future Ubi does something really creative with Breach. I'd love to see some sort of like castle in Breach, like have the second phase of the ram bash through some huge castle gates or something, and we'd have the commander inside of the castle. I'm not sure how historically accurate this would be, but I'd still love to see it. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. As I said, I've been playing a lot of Breach recently. Honestly, I've been playing a lot more For Honor recently. I've been having fun if I don't play it for too long, and I'm trying to save up steel for the Season 9 executions. I do wish that players played the objective a little more often in a game mode dictated by objectives though. I mean, sure, you paid for the game, play it however you want and have fun, but it really is frustrating to see someone not even try to win and just waste lives. I do want to hear you guys' opinion though, so talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video, from Breach as a game mode to how half the community treats the mode. As for me, I'm trying to decide which game I want to buy and play before the year ends. There's a few hits that I didn't get around to playing but I'm interested in, like Monster Hunter, Hitman 2, Persona 5, and Spider-Man. I really want to play at least one of those before 2019. Anyways, as always, if you agree with me or just like the video, feel free to leave a like and stuff if you're new. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.